Bud Light brand has arguably made one of the dumbest business decisions in the history of the company. Of course, the dumb business decision I'm referencing is Bud Light's decision to make Dylan Mulvaney a sort of brand ambassador or spokesperson for the beer company. We're going to go ahead and dive into the details of this ridiculous marketing move by Bud Light here on The Breakdown. Hey, this is Greg Coy from The Breakdown. If you're new here and checking out the channel on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter at GregHoytLET. Anyway, let's get on to the video. Earlier in April, Dylan Mulvaney, who is a biological male who identifies as a transgender woman, recently put a video on TikTok showcasing that he has become a new sort of spokesperson for Bud Light. Mulvaney revealed in one of these videos that he posted on TikTok that Bud Light even sent him specialized beer cans featuring his image on the can, which the cans in question openly celebrated Mulvaney's little trope that he does on social media being the 365 days of girlhood, which many have perceived to be a very sexist and misogynistic trope that Mulvaney has been engaged in for the past year. Following his recent appointment as being a sort of spokesperson for the brand Bud Light, Mulvaney took to Instagram writing, "Happy March Madness, just found out this had to do with sports and not just saying it's a crazy month. In celebration of this sports thing, Bud Light is giving you a chance to win $15,000. Share a video with Easy Carrot Contest for a chance to win. Good luck. Hashtag Bud Light Partner." So it's official like a referee's whistle. The beer brand Bud Light, which is a subsidiary of Anheuser-Busch, the company decided that Mulvaney would be an ideal candidate to become one of their brand partners to promote Bud Light to the masses. Now, one important thing, and I cannot stress this enough, Dylan Mulvaney's only call to fame, the only reason he has eyeballs on him, the only thing of relevance that he's done is he's done this trope over the past year on TikTok of the 365 days of girlhood, where he'd go by day 1, day 2, day 3, uploading these absurd and misogynistic videos where he was, kind of cosplaying as a woman and engaging in just the most absurd ideations of what it means to be a woman. Whether he was kind of playing around with tampons, or, whether he was twirling around and dancing badly, or talking about how he has a shopping addiction, or how he always feels like he's going to cry, and stuff like that. Again, just very sexist stereotypes of what somebody thinks a woman would or should be. And also, for the record, if you ever notice some of the verbiage that Mulvaney uses when talking about his venture into girlhood, he specifically says girlhood, not womanhood, not becoming a woman or anything like that. He talks about becoming a girl. He's an adult male, an adult biological male, and he is talking about becoming a girl or having become a girl, which, when people use the term girl, they're referencing young children, little girls. That seems odd, and, it screams of maybe something more fetishized. There's a strong possibility that Mulvaney just has autogynephilia. Now, if Mulvaney's little act and constant endeavors to become essentially a caricature of a woman weren't vomit-inducing enough already, one of his recent videos where he's featured sitting in a tub after he got his little Bud Light deal going, he's featured himself sitting in a tub, sipping on Bud Light with a bunch of Bud Light cans staged behind him. It's just very weird, it's very creepy, and, just see it for yourself.
The estimated hold time is now less than 96 minutes. We thank you for your patience.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
Now, don't get me wrong. I could go on a healthy rant regarding Dylan Mulvaney and just how incredibly offensive his entire personality and act is. I could go on that for a considerable amount of time. But the real issue at hand here with this latest development is just how incredibly idiotic Bud Light is. To think that bringing on Dylan Mulvaney as a spokesperson for the brand would be a generally good thing for the brand. I mean, there are already calls to boycott Bud Light in light of this, just incredibly stupid marketing campaign. I mean, was there nobody working in the Bud Light marketing offices and telling somebody who brought this idea up, just telling them hey, maybe this isn't a great idea? Surely there had to be somebody working at Bud Light that said something to somebody to try to stop this before, the wheels were put into motion. Because I just don't see how this marketing campaign behooves Bud Light in any way, shape, or form. Now, I do understand that Dylan Mulvaney has a healthy audience size when it comes to his TikTok endeavors and stuff like that. He does have a lot of followers. And I do understand the possibility of cross-pollination of fans, where a fan of one product or service may also consume a certain type of content that may not be the run-of-the-mill content consumed by the broader base of consumers of said product or brand. However, I just don't even think there's enough cross-pollination for this to even be a thing. If I had to fathom a guess, and it's probably one of the most troubling things about Dylan Mulvaney, but if I had to fathom a guess, I would say a large chunk of his viewers are literal teenagers, aka, people not even old enough to buy or consume alcoholic beverages. But even for the Dylan Mulvaney fan base that is old enough to consume alcoholic beverages, I highly doubt that Bud Light is their go-to beer, their beer of choice or whatever. Chances are, if you're an adult over the age of 21 and you are legitimately a Dylan Mulvaney fan, I just don't see you drinking Bud Light. Chances are you're one of those kind of, big into the weird hipster-based IPA type of drinks that have just the most absurd names and flavors and what have you. Those are the type of alcoholic beverages that I envision would be consumed by Dylan Mulvaney's adult fan base. And what I can tell from personal experience, the average Bud Light consumer doesn't seem like the type of person that would be all on board with Dylan Mulvaney being a brand ambassador. I mean, I've been drinking beer for years. I venture down the beer aisle frequently whenever I go out to the grocery store or what have you. So I can visibly see the type of people who are, grabbing the Bud Light cans or the Bud Light bottles or whatever. So I highly suspect those individuals are not your average Dylan Mulvaney viewer or Dylan Mulvaney enjoyer in general. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that chances are the bulk of Bud Light and Budweiser by extension, the bulk of that brand's consumers probably rest squarely in, the conservative base. Now, the good thing is, if you're largely conservative, or even if you're just not a fan of Dylan Mulvaney and his extremely misogynistic tropes and performances that he puts online, it is really, really, really easy to boycott Bud Light beer, just solely based on the fact that Bud Light tastes disgusting. I mean, Bud Light is really just one of the most disgusting, gross beers out there. I mean, there are so many better beers that you can choose from. I myself, I find myself jumping between beers like Blue Moon and Guinness Nitro and a handful of others. But, beers that typically have some kind of good flavor and actually have a little bit of an alcoholic kick to them. All I can say is that, Bud Light had its consumer base, but I think it just went and sacrificed a lot of its consumer base based solely upon this idiotic decision to bring on Dylan Mulvaney as a brand ambassador. Arguably one of the dumbest things they could have done. So with the leadership at that company being that stupid, yeah, I'm not going to lose any sleep if they suffer a financial hit. And yeah, I would absolutely 100% advocate and endorse a boycott of the brand, whether it be Bud Light, Budweiser, what have you. any extension of the Anheuser-Busch brand when it comes to beers, yeah, just boycott the hell out of the entire brand, because it's just insanity. It was pandering to people who weren't even their consumers, and basically spitting in the faces of their real consumers. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much a long and short of it. Go ahead and drop a comment below whether you agree that this decision by Bud Light was just arguably one of the dumbest things they've done in the history of the company, or whether you think that they were doing the right thing, or maybe it's not going to have that big of an impact at all. Whatever your thoughts are on the matter, drop your comment below. Anyways, guys, that was the breakdown. Peace.